The fastest frontier gunfighters who were finally outgunned. He was the fastest man alive. And he never even got to draw his gun. No warning, no duel, just 1 second, and it was over. Men like Wild Bill Hickok and John Wesley Hardin built their names on speed, faster hands, faster reflexes, faster kills, but in the Wild West, speed didn't decide who lived. Mistakes did. And sometimes, those mistakes came from places you couldn't see, from behind, from the dark, from people who weren't playing by the same rules. Because the truth is, the fastest gunfighters weren't beaten by faster men. They were beaten by moments they never saw coming. Take Wild Bill Hickok, a man whose reputation for speed and precision became almost mythical. Hickok was known for his calm demeanor and deadly accuracy. He didn't rely on flashy movements, he relied on control. In several encounters, he proved that being composed under pressure could outmatch reckless speed. But even someone like Hickok had vulnerabilities. He was extremely cautious about where he sat in saloons, always facing the door to avoid being surprised. That habit alone tells you something critical. The fastest gunfighter in the room still feared what he couldn't see. And history proved him right. In 1876, in the town of Deadwood, Hickok broke his own rule. He sat with his back to the entrance, something he almost never did, and in that single moment, speed didn't matter anymore. He never had the chance to draw, because the real danger wasn't always in front of you. Now look at John Wesley Hardin, often described as one of the fastest men with a gun. Hardin claimed to have killed dozens of men and was known for reacting almost instantly in confrontations. His speed became part of his identity, but Hardin's story doesn't end in a dramatic duel. Years later, after prison, he was killed in a saloon, shot from behind. Again, no showdown, no test of speed. Just a moment he couldn't anticipate, and that's the pattern you start to notice. The fastest men weren't always beaten by faster men. They were beaten by unpredictability. Then there's Billy the Kid, young, quick, and constantly on the move. He survived multiple encounters, slipping through situations where others would have been caught. His speed and agility made him incredibly difficult to pin down, but in the end, it wasn't a fair fight that stopped him. He was tracked, cornered, and shot in the dark by Pat Garrett. No warning, no chance to react. Just a calculated move by someone who understood that catching a fast opponent required strategy, not speed. And that's where the myth begins to collapse. Because what these stories show is something deeper. Speed is reactive, strategy is proactive. And in a world as unpredictable as the frontier, being reactive wasn't always enough. There are also lesser-known figures, gunfighters who built reputations on quick draws, only to be outmaneuvered in ways that had nothing to do with skill. Some were disarmed before they could react. Others were ambushed. Some made simple mistakes, standing in the wrong place, trusting the wrong person, misreading a situation, tiny errors, massive consequences. Even someone like Doc Holliday, known for both speed and composure, understood this reality. Holliday didn't seek unnecessary fights. He relied on timing, alliances, and calculated decisions. He knew that survival wasn't about proving you were the fastest. It was about knowing when not to draw at all, because every time you rely on speed, you're gambling on a moment, and moments are unpredictable. Another factor often ignored is fatigue. These men lived in high-stress environments. Constant tension, long days, little rest. Reaction time isn't just about skill, it's about condition. A split-second delay caused by exhaustion or distraction could be the difference between life and death. And then there's something even more unpredictable: luck. It's uncomfortable to admit, but luck played a role in many of these encounters. a missed shot, a misfire, a distraction at the wrong time. These variables don't care about reputation or skill. They don't care how fast you are. They just happen. Which means even the best could lose. And when you put all of this together, a clearer picture emerges. The fastest gunfighters didn't lose because they slowed down. They lost because the game itself was never just about speed. It was about awareness, timing, strategy, and navigating a world where danger didn't follow rules. And once you realize that, you start to see something unsettling. No matter how fast you were never truly in control. And this is where the illusion of control completely collapses. Because when you follow these stories to their endings, a pattern becomes impossible to ignore. The fastest men didn't lose their edge. The world simply stopped playing by their rules. Look again at what happened to Wild Bill Hickok. It wasn't a duel, it wasn't a test of skill. It was a single moment of vulnerability, sitting in the wrong position at the wrong time. The very man who built his survival on awareness was undone by one lapse in it. Then there's Wesley Hardin. For years, his speed gave him an advantage in confrontations. But over time, something shifted. Reputation made him a target. The faster and more feared you became, the more people looked for ways around your strengths. And in the end, he wasn't beaten in a fair fight. He was removed from the equation entirely. And maybe that's the real turning point in all of this. Because once a gunfighter becomes known for speed, people stop trying to beat them at speed. They change the game. That's exactly what happened with Billy the Kid. His agility and quick reactions kept him alive through situations that would have ended anyone else. But his pursuer, Pat Garrett, didn't try to outdraw him. He studied him, tracked him, waited for the moment when speed wouldn't matter, and when that moment came, it was over instantly. No duel, no warning, just strategy, defeating reflex. And this pattern repeats across frontier history. Gunfighters who dominated open confrontations often fell to ambushes, betrayals, or situations they couldn't predict. The very trait that made them dangerous, confidence in their speed, sometimes created blind spots. They expected a certain kind of fight, but the fight they got was different. Even Doc Holliday understood this better than most. Holliday didn't rely purely on speed. He relied on reading people, choosing his moments, and aligning himself with allies when necessary. He knew that isolation was dangerous and unpredictability was constant because the frontier wasn't a controlled arena. It was chaos. And chaos doesn't reward the fastest. It rewards the most adaptable. There's another layer here that often gets overlooked. Time. As these men aged, as their environments changed, as their reputations grew, the conditions around them shifted. Younger, unknown opponents didn't carry the same patterns. They didn't follow the same expectations, and that made them harder to predict. Speed, after all, is only effective when you understand what's coming, and on the frontier, you rarely did. Then there's the psychological weight. Living with constant danger changes how you think. It sharpens some instincts, but it can also create tension, fatigue, and overconfidence. When every moment could turn into a fight, the line between readiness and exhaustion becomes thin. And sometimes, all it takes is one misread moment, one assumption, 1 second where your mind expects something, and reality delivers something else. That's all it takes to outdo the fastest man in the room. Which brings us back to the core truth. These men weren't defeated by speed. They were defeated by unpredictability, strategy, and the simple fact that no one can control every variable. And maybe that's why their stories still resonate, because they reveal something deeper than just gunfights. They reveal the limits of skill itself. No matter how refined, how practiced, how legendary, there's always something beyond it. Something you can't see, something you can't react to, something that doesn't give you the chance. If this changed how you see the Wild West, then you've just uncovered the truth behind the legend. Because history isn't about who was the fastest. It's about who understood the game. And if you want more stories like this, real, raw, and stripped of the myths they've been wrapped in, make sure you subscribe and stay with us. Because the deeper you go into history, more you realize. It's not the strongest or the fastest who survive. It's the ones who understand what others don't.